Oh my God. Hold on 1 second. Got my jersey right here. And then my name on the back.
God.
I'm serious. Giacomo Gianniotti.
That's so lovely. I think the Italian language is so romantic. It's like French.
It is. So, I think now that I'm an adult, I appreciate it more. But when I was a young kid, having moved from Italy to a small town in Canada where everyone was like Bill and Bob and Josh and Nathan, I wasn't so much a fan of it. But now as an adult, I very much appreciate my name and my culture.
Can you expand a little bit more on the whole balance of how I see that you're an American, you live in the States, you're educated in Canada, you still love and travel to Italy. And I know that Italy's in a crazy, horrible space, both politically and also with COVID. You must have there. How do you balance the reality of what's going on, the country and the traveling back and forth? And what's your favorite? That's a lot of questions. Sorry.
Yeah. I have a very busy lifestyle. I just got back from Italy. I'm sort of in pre-production for a project in Italy that I'm going to be working on in the fall. So I was doing some tests over there. I hadn't seen my family in Italy for, over 2 years since the pandemic. I hadn't traveled. So it was amazing to kind of touch roots and hug my grandmother and all those amazing, things that come with seeing your family and the place that where you're from. But yeah, it is, when people ask me, like, where do you feel like you're from, or where do you feel like you are a true citizen of? And, I just kind of feel like a nomad, like my whole life. Like I was born and then my parents split up and then we moved to Canada and then I left that behind to, study and work in Rome at 18. And then I moved back to Canada and went to theater school and university there. And, after a couple of years of working as an actor in Canada, I wanted to explore different options. I moved to America and Los Angeles. And so I've just been kind of moving my whole life and really spent time, a significant amount of time in each place, enough where each place sort of in a way feels like home. So coming back to the company we keep, I think, home is kind of where, my wife now, the person I love, that's home. You know what I mean? If we're anywhere together, then I'm good. You know what I mean? But, I have people I love in Canada, in the States, in Italy. So that's sort of the people that really make me feel like home.
But tell me a little bit about that. You are actually about to do a voice in a Disney movie. Can you tell me a little bit about that, how that happened?
Yeah. It's been out for a little while now and it's been received very well. I'm very happy. It's called Luca. It's Pixar's first, sorry?
Released in June, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's Disney's first sort of attempt at Italian culture. And because we had a real Italian director, Enrico Casarosa, it soared past the mark. And I'm so, as a true Italian, I'm so proud of the film because it could have very easily, went into stereotypes and things. But it didn't. It was authentic. I brought, some of my oldest Italian friends to go see it and they loved it and felt at home and felt like children again. It's about that sort of your youth in Italy and growing up, but it could be from anywhere. It's just about being young, being a child, and having an amazing summer where you build great friendships and eat great food and start to discover a little bit about who you are as a person. And so it was a really, really special film. And so, I got to voice a small part in the film. I also got to do it in Italian, in the Italian version, and dub that as well, which was a cool new experience. So I got to do kind of press for the release of the film, both in Italy and in America, which was a lot of fun. And I'm just a longtime fan of Pixar and all those movies. I just think all the people there are just so great, and the stories they tell and little lessons that they teach children are so important. And I love it.
And then the other side of it is that how in the movie Pixar, you talk about technology, how technology is just changing the conversation, and then also I learned that producing and directing is another area that you are kind of stepping into,
Yeah.
How are you feeling about what angle, what aspect of producing and directing are you going to take if there's so much technology, and then we've got the digital platforms that everybody needs to be seen on, right?
Yeah, I think it's only exciting and nothing else. It's only extremely exciting. I think the possibilities and the heights that we're able to reach and that we will be able to reach, in maybe 10 to 15 years are really incredible. I think probably one of the industry leaders in terms of like pushing the envelope of what we can do with technology right now that I've seen was Star Wars, The Mandalorian, the series on Disney Plus. They're using this new technology, which is just a three-dimensional, screen that's, LED or OLED screen, but it's massive. I mean, it's the size of a building face. And they're able to project whatever setting that you could possibly imagine into it, blown up to that size with the highest resolution. And you just place your actors in front of that screen. And then you put a camera there and it looks like they're there. And I can shoot a sunset scene all day.
Right.
It's because the sun's going down. So I can do it as many times as I like as a director. It brings down costs because if I didn't get it, I don't have to do another production day, wait for another sunset, all these little things like that. It's really remarkable. However, I will say, because I am an actor as well, that the further we move into, the development of technology, the further we move from reality.
Right.
And for an actor, being in a room where it's all green and there's green masked people all around you and you have wires on you and just such an artificial environment, it makes acting incredibly difficult.
Right.
Because I'm not surrounded by this real beautiful setting. So although for the directors and the producers, they're able to get all that they need, the challenge is much more difficult for the actor to have to work so much harder to imagine a real tactile, complicated, beautiful environment around them. We start to lose the connection and the reality of all that art was supposed to be there in the first place.
You love music. You love to play.
I do.
Yeah. And then you said somewhere that, love, music is aligned with love. When you meet your person, you just will know that this is the right person for you. Tell me how it was for you, and how does the music kind of, again, play a really strong part in your life?
I think the people that raised me, my parents and my family, were big music lovers. So I was just around a lot of music, mostly Italian when I was growing up. And then I had a whole self-discovery in my sort of like later high school years of like Motown, which is like a doo-wop.
Love it.
Just older sort of R&B and soul music. Beautiful, like blues, music has just always been such a great part of my life. It's been probably one of my longest friends and will continue to be. When you're down and you want to feel down, you throw on a song that helps you kind of move through that. Or if you're happy and you want to elevate that happiness, you throw on a song that elevates and exaggerates that happiness that you're feeling. So I just feel like music just always accompanies. Like my wife and I are the same too. It's like we always have music playing in our house. We can't sit and have dinner without music. It would just be completely foreign and strange. Music just sort of sets the mood to life.
Did you ever feel that, how Clint Eastwood actually, who's no longer acting or directing, has kind of given it up and has publicly announced that too, but how he used to create his music for his movies because he loved to play the piano. So whenever he would, and if you listen to any of his recent movies, the last 10 years, I want to say, he always plays out with his music theme, and it's a piano accompaniment with other instruments sometimes, but particularly plays out with what he wants to play out with in the music. Do you ever see yourself doing that?
God, I would love to be so, multifaceted. I mean, I do love music and I play music, but I don't know if I could make music for a film. Maybe I'd need some help. But yeah, I'd definitely be into the idea for sure.
I have to ask a couple of questions related to Grey's Anatomy. Now, only
sure, of course.
I see this has played a really big part in your life, and I'd like to ask a funny question about how we all know that obviously you were played out in Grey's, and I know that must be the scariest thing for an actor, in that they are now going to be written out the script.
I think, God, if it was maybe my first job, then maybe, there would have been some more similar to what you're describing, but like I was working before Grey's Anatomy, you know what I mean? And so I just kind of knew that this is the job, this is the gig, you join the circus essentially. You travel around the world and keep doing your little dance, and then you pack up the tent and you go somewhere else. That's sort of what I've always signed up for. So this was a 7-year long stint. So yeah, it was, I left the feeling of the circus, the traveling show, for a little while. I got to put down some real roots here in Los Angeles. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's not that I'm expecting it or wanting it, but you always kind of know in the back of your head that, this eventually will end, you know what I mean? And I'll go on to something else. And I'd spent a pretty significant amount of time on that show. For being such a young guy. So it was definitely the right time to exit. But I mean, I will miss my Grey's Anatomy family dearly. My God, those are some good people.
I've got a couple of very fast questions. One of the ones that is close to my heart, and something that I think is very close to your heart, because you do talk about give back. I know that if there's ever a reason to turn around and do something where, you talk about on Grey's Anatomy, when they were talking about trafficking, you talk about online where you wanted to set up food banks for people that couldn't afford to have food. And you wouldn't want to hold back in sharing and getting as many people on board for these challenges to say, come on, we can all do our bit here.
Yeah. To the point of being annoying sometimes, I'm sure.
Not even. I think it's absolutely, I think it's so admirable to turn around and know that you have a platform and you can give somebody else an opportunity here.
Well, I think that's it. You said it. You answered the question yourself in the sense of like, been doing stuff like this my whole life, but when you don't have a following of 3 million people and you sort of ring the dinner bell and say, hey, can you guys help me out? It's like 2 or 3 people come. But when you have 3 million followers, then it's like, oh, okay, I can actually ring that dinner bell and I can actually translate that into thousands of dollars of donations to charities and stuff. So, I mean, God, if that's not what it was for, then I don't know what, you know what I mean? If you can't see the sort of value of social media in that sense. I mean, I wish I didn't have to use social media, but there are certain little perks and things like that where I go, you know what? Yeah. That's a really good thing for that. You know what I mean? And so that's been for a lot of celebrities and a lot of people out there who have different, causes that they champion or even organizations that they've started. Right. Social media and Instagram and all these things have been a great way to sort of have this amazing point of reference for a call to action to get all these people to,
do the right thing,
assemble, donate, whatever it is, Right. So yeah, no, it's a huge part. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And again, I referenced Tom Hanks because I remember at a charity event, he sat with all the celebrities on one side and it all went public, and he sat with all the charities on the other side and he said, right, you guys here, tweet about all these guys here because we need to get the name out and the voice out that people have to donate, otherwise why and how can we make a difference if we're not helping the people that can't help themselves, right?
For sure.
It's got to start somewhere. So I salute you. I think that is such a...
Thank you. I think especially in this time where it's just like attention is so expensive because with everyone's just like on their phones, it's so hard to get people's attention. That's where I think a lot of people who have large followings come in to really sort of grab that attention back because, I work with this organization called All Hands and Hearts, and they do disaster relief all over the world. The leaders, in fact, fantastic organization. They stay well after the disasters happen to help that community rebuild. And what they always tell me is like, when it happens, the media does their job. You get it on every TV, every radio. There's been a hurricane here. We all know about it. But then after that 2-3 day period, it's forgotten and we're on to the next thing. And those people all still need help.
Yeah.
You know, that problem is still very much real. And so that's where I think, you know, they're like, you know, we love Giacomo because he helps us sort of drag out that period of help and of need and of urgency, as do so many other, you know, people. So that's also another thing. It's just it's that attention that is so difficult to obtain today. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to share my collaboration and my interview with New York Moves. I hope you'll read it and enjoy. Bye, guys.